Hello, my name is Lauren Zielinski, and you might be thinking, wow, it's dark in there. That's because it is. I don't know how to screen share on my laptop, and so instead you get to look at the board in my classroom. But the lights create a glare, so instead, I'll be presenting in the dark. Welcome to Music in a Digital World by Lauren Zielinski. My thesis is social media is changing music, studying the effects of social media on the form and style of music, using popular music from different decades before, during, and after the introduction of social media. Does social media's push for instant gratification change what consumers look for in music? Music and social media are a part of many people's everyday lives, but one may be bleeding more into the other than we suspect. So, when and where music has been created, shared, and consumed in different ways across different decades. So, we are going to start in the 1980s. The introduction of image. MTV was a cable music channel that took the music industry by storm. Musicians began using MIDIs in their music as well as click tracks, so they were no longer demanding their drummer to be the sole purpose of how they stayed together. They also were able to explore these new sounds that they did not previously have. Now, some people found this intriguing. They were excited to create new music, new sounds, but some people found it to be negative. They found that it was taking the humanity out of music. And sales were being primarily pushed by selling CDs. Specifically in 1987 was a really big push for CDs. Now jumping to the 1990s, evolving genres were happening. MTV still continued to drive the music industry with new subcultures of music. They were being described as grunge and eclectic. And again, music sales were being pushed through CDs. Now jumping to the 2000s. There was a sort of technology boom in the 2000s where music became digital, giving audiences more freedom to explore music on their own. New technologies gave music a new sound that people were able to experiment using new electronic beats. Streaming was completely different now. Yes, we still had CDs, but now people were primarily using MP3 players, peer to peer file sharing, and legal digital stores such as iTunes. So a lot of people are now using this digital media to consume their music rather than going and purchasing a CD, which vastly changed the music industry because now they were switching from I'm going to sell you this physical item to now they were marketing towards this idea of a digital sound. You did not need to have a physical copy. Now jumping to the 2010s. The 2010s had the rise of streaming platforms and social media. Music was being consumed primarily on streaming platforms such as my apologies. Music was being consumed primarily on streaming platforms such as Apple Music, Spotify, and Tidal. Music was being dominated by electric dance music, specifically in that pop genre. And artists began using social media to their strength. They realized that it is a primary way to connect with their audience. So, being a musician was no longer just about creating music, booking a show, and performing. You had more of a responsibility to connect with your audience now that you had this personal touch of social media. So, how were they connecting with their audiences? With social media becoming much more prominent in the 2010s, artists began connecting with their fans via social media by creating trends, memes, and challenges for their audiences to participate in. So not only were these people participating in these challenges that were going viral, but they also were promoting the song as they were doing it. And a great example of a song that went viral was, whoops, Gangnam Style, which is a classic. Gangnam Style. Gangnam Style. So this music video pushed people to start creating their own dance to the music and posting it online, which was not only promoting the idea of people posting themselves dancing, but also promoting the song. Gangnam Style. This was not only done with Gangnam Style, there was another song in 2013 that was also quite viral, the Harlem Shake. Now, the Harlem Shake has a personal touch to me because I remember doing this trend when I was in fifth grade, but a lot of people were creating their own little twist to it. So these internet trends were not only promoting the song, but again, it was helping them connect with their audience. Now jumping to the 2020s, which obviously we do not have a full decade's worth, but we have some, and it is focusing on that 15 seconds of fame. Music is being consumed via streaming platforms, but is being discovered through social media oftentimes. COVID began a rise of the bedroom pop star, which was forcing musicians to create music at home with the resources that they already had, which resulted in a merge of many different genres coming together and a creation of a few new genres. Now, connecting is at an all time high because artists continue to use social media as a primary way to connect with their audience. And a lot of songs are now focusing on an engaging hook to spark a viral moment. They are looking for that 15 seconds that TikTok is pushing. TikTok is looking for that short form content that is giving audiences bite-sized pieces of music to consume. They're not going to push an entire song, they're going to push a quick bite of the song that could sound good that you could create a trend to. So music consumption is at an all-time high with social media. 176 songs surpassed 1 billion views as TikTok sounds in 2020 alone. In addition, 90 of those songs climbed onto the top 100 charts in the US, with 15 of those reaching number one on the Billboard. So, we are going to compare music from different decades. Using Rolling Stone's top 10 songs of each decade, we can compare the form of the songs across the different decades. So, these are our songs that we are using from the 1980s, the 1990s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and we're going to use the year 2020. So, how quickly are we getting to the main idea, the hook of that song that could be a viral moment? Using the top 10 songs from each decade, how quickly did they get to the hook? Using the equation time of chorus over total length of the song, we are able to see what percentage of the song is complete before we get to that main idea. Taking a look at the 1980s, we have a vast difference in how quickly we're getting to that main idea. Up here we have the message. 32.5% of the song was completed before we got to that main idea. But down here at Bring the Noise, only 4.4% of the song was completed before we got to that hook main idea. Jumping to the 1990s, we have Common People at 32.86% and No Diggity down at 5.93%. In the 2000s, we have 99 Problems at 48.94% and Rehab at 5.58%. So this is when we're about to see the introduction of a lot of social media. Is it going to change? We have Formation by Beyonce. 41.95% of the song was complete before she got to that main idea. And Ran Away by Kanye West all the way down here only took 15.33% of the song. We have Blinding Lights up at 31.5% in the year 2020, and we have Ladies by Fiona Apple at 1.23%. We have Key West down here by Bob Dylan, but it's sitting at 0% because it does not really have a hook or a chorus. The song is more verse driven, but it was still a top song in 2020. So we're going to compare the different decades. We have, taking the longest amount of time to get to our main idea, our hook, is the 2010s, sitting at an average of 27.58%. Moving next is the 2000s, sitting at 25.53%. The 1980s, sitting at 22.54%. 2020 at 19.17%. And the 1990s, sitting at 16.68%. So, what did we find? Social media is not directly changing the form of music as much as it is changing the way that music is promoted and how we connect with not only the music but with the audience as well. Let's talk about the research process. So, search tools that I used: Apple Music, EBSCO, and Google. And conducting research was listening to each song to determine the form, length, and at what point the song reaches its first hook or chorus, and the different methods that I used. We had key terms, which we'll talk about in a moment, digital music, and class assignments that we did. So, first thing that I did was I gathered different articles pertaining to the topic of social media in music. This is when I was using a lot of those key terms. I was looking up social media in music, TikTok music, viral moment, a lot of those bite words that I could get. And once I had a few articles from there, I moved on to collecting data about the top 10 songs from each decade using Rolling Stone's top 10. And that is when I started using the songs themselves as sources to figure out the form of the song, how long they were, and how I pulled that data that I showed you before. And lastly, I found additional sources that are tying the two together, pulling from some specific songs that were mentioned or the delayed gratification or instant gratification that social media is pushing for. I found articles that pulled the two together. And lastly, we have our sources. We have 2 pages. We have the one here and another. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry I had to do this in the dark, but I hope you appreciate it and learned something.